you guys. So remember in yesterday's videos when I told you guys, was it yesterday's video? The previous episode. I cannot say yesterday, but I can say in the previous episode when I said that for you to be in a committed relationship, you have to be in like a friendship. You guys have to first be friends first. Guys, to become friends or to really get friends, you have to overcome your fear, get out of the house, and actually go and make social interactions, make friends with people, right? Now, I'm mentioning fear. Guys, keep that at the back of your mind. Today, someone challenged my worldview, and I want to tell you guys this story. I don't know. I just listen. Now, I'm currently in the process of applying to go back to school, right? And a lot of that requires me to go back to my high school recommendation letter here and there, fill out certain documents and all that stuff, right? But I come from a very prestigious high school, as you can see there in the background. And guys, I have to tell you, I always fear going back to school because there are all these questions, there are all these expectations these people have for you, these people have. On one occasion, I lied to 5 teachers because I remember picking my little brother from school one time and they were all seated at the staff room because that's why they told me to wait. And these 5 teachers were like, so what are you doing with your life? I lied to their faces. I hope they never see this video because they'll be like, what? Are we raising liars? But you know, guys, this school, Budo, is known for what? For having, once, kids finish, the kids become very high status, very high caliber, and all that stuff. They say, they go to achieve big things. They go and win awards. They go and do all these big things. And you guys, I love that. And you see, Budo was a very competitive school, but this story is not about that. In another video, we'll probably go into all the nitty-gritty. But just they are very high expectations set. And I feel like that's why my parents really were on the thing of, you must do low, you must do low, you must do low. And I was like, okay. But now it's a whole thing, right? So I always fear going back to school because I know they'll ask me one time and I'll tell them, guys, I do this. And then, there's that weird look. They don't want to make it look obvious, but they shoot a look and you're like, you take your L, you understand, and you move on, right? So, and you see the thing is, such high expectations don't just come from non-Budonians, they come from the very Budonians, like your fellow students, the teachers, they have these very high standards. So just know every time I have to go to school, you guys, I have to pep talk myself for like 2 days at least, or 1 day. If the worst comes to the worst, I have to pep talk myself. When I have to go and pick my little brother from school, I have to think, I have to be like, okay, so if they ask me this question, this is how I'm going to carry. Like, you really have to be thinking. So now imagine when time for school comes back and I have to go to school. So the first time I went to school to pick up a recommendation letter, the mistake I made was that recommendation letter had to be sent directly to the school I was applying to make that document official. But now what I misunderstood was get the document, send it to the school. That's what I did. I got the document and I sent it to the school myself, right? It was supposed to come from Budo. Now, when I realized I made the mistake, I actually had a meeting with one of the admissions officer, and she told me that was really wrong, so you have to go back. And I was like, oh. I said, you know what, let me go. But you guys, I woke up in the morning and I was so scared to death, you guys. I was like, I can't go. They're going to ask me questions. Oh, I can't. I was having so much pressure. Meanwhile, we're here talking about you guys as a prefect at school. I was a prefect. So you would think this is someone who is not scared to go back because I didn't, to be a prefect, you have to be sort of a golden child. Anywho, so I said, let me go. Now, the first mistake I made on my way there was I sat in the wrong taxi. Guys, I use taxis. I do not like using border borders. I lost my aunt to a border accident. May her soul rest in peace. So I have my reservations about border borders. So I use taxis. Anyone who works with me knows I use taxis, right? So I went to the park. And usually the taxis that go to Bodo take really long to fill up, like extra long. But color me shocked when I sat today in a taxi. And it filled up really fast. I was like, what? And me, I'm a very quick thinker. I'm like, it's really full because, I just realized in town there's so much jam. That means either kids are coming back from school or what, or there's just something, and, at Budo taking place. Like, let me go. Now, guys, I should have called ahead of time, but let me tell you, when fear gets to your noggin, it's over. Because I should have called ahead of time, but I was like, no, have to move. If I call, I'll overthink. So I was like, have to move. So I sat in the taxi. It filled up fast. I was really scared. Another red flag I should have seen was that the guy was taking shortcuts. Budo taxis never take shortcuts. They move through the jam. Oh, God, it's really painful. But the guy took shortcuts. And then I was like, wait, where is this taxi? No, we're moving. And then that conductor guy was like, Nsanji. I'm like, Nsanji? Nsanji? So I tapped the conductor guy. I'm like, Sebo, taxi Kumawa. Guy was like, Namagoma. I said, Oja kunteka kuchie budo. Now, sorry, my phone froze. Now, guys, I told you I have reservations on borders. So that means they're going to drop me Kuchia Budo. That's the road going to Budo. And I would have to sit on a border, taking the rest of the journey. But you guys, remember, we are operating on fear and anxiety today. So, guys, the story is going to be long. So, I did what? So, I reached the Budo stage. And guys, the sun was blazing hot. And actually, when I was on my way to Budo, I realized I looked into one of the cars that was coming, from Budo going to Chengera. I look inside. I see a mattress. And then I see a kid with a red tie. I said, coward them. This is the last day of school. I'm supposed to see an administrator. That means they might not be there. I said, what was I on? And I need the administrator. I was like, oh, shit. So I was like, So I said, you know what? Now, remember, guys, border guys, the moment you get out of the taxi, they are always like flirting and catcalling. So I was like, no. The guy offered to take me. I said, no, let me go. First of all, I was even moving on very little cash. It was, what a day, guys. But I said, no. So I said, you know what? I don't have a lot of money because I have to budget for the taxi bringing me back and the taxi bringing me from the park to my home. I have to budget for all those things. Mind you, I have not eaten the whole day. The money I have is only transport. I walked, you guys, that hill. I climbed from the foot of the hill of Budo until up. I reached Budo basted in sweat, you guys. Part of it is because of the walking. The other part was the anxiety of, I've reached, they're going to ask me questions. What? And again, even the dress I was wearing was a little questionable. It was decent. But you guys, there's a way how women's clothes are made that even though it's decent, it's still indecent. In some way, it's indecent. People who make clothes need to be cognizant of that. And Budo is very strict on clothing these days. I don't understand, but I get it. So I was like, shit, if they take me back, I'm finished because I need this thing done now. So I reached the gate. The askari calls me. I was like, huh? All that climbing I've done of the hill of Budo has gone to waste. Now, at first, before we continue past the gate, at first I was like, let me walk some distance. So the small distance that remains will be 1K border, right? I have a condition of if I'm going to sit on a border, it has to be 2K and below. That means the distance has to be literally from here to there. So that's me. And but then I reached half the journey climbing the hill and I was dying of thirst. So I just had to buy a drink. I said, you know what, Chloe, the drink will fuel us. Remember, I've not eaten. It's like the drink will fuel us for the rest of the journey. So I said, cool. I drank the juice and it gave me good energy. I reached Budo basted in sweat. Now we are back to the askari guy. The askari calls me. I said, I was about to kneel and say, askari, please let me just see the teacher for 30 minutes. 30 minutes. I'll be out of here. But surprisingly, the guy called me and was like, hey, what are you here for? I said, Bambi, I'm here to see so-and-so, the administrator. He was like, oh, cool. Although I've seen him going out, I don't know if he's back yet, but you go and try your luck. Here is the visitor's card. Please head in. I was like, wow, thank you. Now remember, I'm a former student here, but I didn't know those are scaries. So, but guys, along the way, I kept praying to God. I was like, God, please, may I find this administrator in his office? Please, God, make everything smooth. Make air. So when I went through the gate, I was like, one answered prayer. That means the next one is finding the administrator. Guys, I entered the administration office block. The man was not there. I kept praying. I said, Lord Father, you did not bring me all this way to fail me. So I waited for like 30 minutes and the guy was not coming. So I said, maybe I should talk to another administrator. But I talked to the other administrator and the guy was like, nah, it has to be the guy, the OG who gave you the what? The letter. So I said, it's cool, I'll wait. But then while I was waiting, the receptionist was like, might I suggest that you call him and find out, maybe let him know you're here. So I called him. He was like, oh, no, please send the details to me and I'll give you the email and blah, blah, blah. I'll do everything. I was like, okay, so why did I come? So I did everything, sent him before I left school. One of my thinking was like, I would love to leave, but I would want to sit here and wait and see if he at least comes to his office. But then I was like, you know what? I've already come this far. I've done everything I've been asked. If anything fails, we will see if I'll come back, right? So I said, cool, let me just move. I came back. I decided time to walk the hill again to slope because the taxis on the Buddha Hill are really, really rare. Like in an hour, you can only see like one taxi like sloping. So I was like, time to brave. But then while I was walking, I was like, you guys, I was like, God, may someone come and offer me a lift for free shillings. In the mighty name of Jesus, for free shillings. No sooner had I taken 2 steps than a white Mark X pulled up next to me. Now, granted, whenever I come to Budo, usually I find some teacher who is sloping. And remember, I'm a student of Budo. A teacher who finds me, he's like, hey, please, let me take you. There was even a time, at Budo we have the bus, the school bus. We call it a Scania because it's Scania, but we call it a Scania. And usually there was even this one time where the bus driver was driving the Scania. I was like, yeah, please come, let me drop you. So I was like, yeah, my boy. Then we also have a van. It's a drone. You know those drone vans? It's first we call it the Bombardier. And there was another time when I was sloping from there going back home and the Bombardier goes, hey, come. So trust, I'm used to lifts. Now, tell me why. When I saw this Mark X, I was like, oh, and teacher is finally sloping. We'll hitch this right. Guys, remember I'm still bested in sweat, so my eyes can't see. I peep inside. Ooh, I do not know who this is. I'm into more. So it's like, let me give you a lift. Guys, let's first pause here. I said no. You guys, I said no. Because of fear. I feared. I was like, this man could take me and kidnap me and slice my throat. My mother is abroad. She's always worrying about her kids. I wouldn't want to be one of the kids she worries about. So I said, no, I cannot sit in this vehicle. And I was like, hey, come, let me take you. So I said, you guys, and he saw I was scared. He's like, no, you come. So I entered the vehicle. Then he asked me, the first question he's asked me, why are you scared? I said, Muna, you could be a mutemusa. You could be a serial killer taking me to my death. And the man was like, but why are you scared? What wrong thing have you done in this earth? Why do you fear? And you guys, that question has changed my entire worldview. When you ask me, why do you fear? That's when I looked back on the entire day and I realized the entire day I've been moving in fear. I've been fearing reaching school, fearing when I reach the admin, fearing when I even reach the gate, fearing to even sit on a border, guys, to take me to school. If I had sat on a border, chances are I would have reached school faster, would have found the admin person I was there to see. But no. So I said, man, you have to be careful these days. You have to tread lightly. We are in unprecedented times these days. You just never know. But then he asked me, so what wrong thing have you done that you think that there's someone out here lurking and looking for you, ready to slice your throat? Are your parents politicians? I said no. Have you done anything to wrong anyone? I said, no. So why are you scared? I'm telling you guys, this is why I'm laughing. That's how I laughed in the car. The man was like, anyway, my name is so-and-so. This is my job. What's your name? I told him my name, what I do, and why I was on the Budo Hill. He was like, in this life. He was even like, actually, thank you for entering my car because I'm going to teach you a lesson today on fear. He was like, now when you fear all those things, how do you expect to find your future husband? You know you're supposed to make friends with people. If you're always fearing making friends with people, how are you going to find your husband? How? What if today you've made a friend? And you know, if you listen to your fear today, you could have missed on a friend. A good one, mind you. I said, you guys, if I was sweating, at first this time I was sweating like a sinner. I was sweating bricks. I was sweating. So I said, you know what? I'll take this L. I told him, man, I also don't know why I fear, but I fear. He was like, don't fear. And you know, that's a good thing that you told me because, you know, I mean, I've always feared making friends, and for good reason. So many friends I've made have either just turned out to be not the very best people. So I just cut them off. I just go on like done, right? So I've had these walls built around me, right? There's a story I'm currently writing into script. And one of the characters, the protagonist, is someone who is closed off because she believes she's unreliable, right? So she doesn't want people to rely on her. She doesn't want to rely on people because she thinks people are unreliable. Why? Because that's what she thinks about herself. But one time when she was having a conversation with her friend tells her, build boundaries, not walls. That's how you're going to move in life. And, you know, you guys, I have this thing where when I'm writing my characters' lines or what, I let the characters speak to me. I do not write lines for them. I don't do that shit. I don't operate like that. I let my my characters speak for themselves. So, you know, when I was in that car, I sat and I was like, I've just realized that character was speaking to me. I need to build boundaries, not walls. Because I really fear making friends. I fear socializing a lot because I know there are instances where either not to be myself or I'll just have to be someone else to fit in. But you see, today, this gentleman that I met, he was like, no, don't fear. Anytime, call me up, what, and all these other things. And he was like, you know, don't fear, right? So, guys, take it from this story. Don't fear anything. If you're scared, do it scared, right? I fear every time I have to make YouTube videos, but I still do it anyway, even though I'm scared. I overthink things. I get so anxious and I get into my head. But don't overthink things. Just, you should have no fear. Anyway, I'll see you guys in another episode. Ciao, Bella.